must be prepared to teach. A lot of y'all say, I'm tired of repeating myself. I'm tired of teaching. They should know this by now. And honestly, I agree. They should know this by now. But who is actually teaching them is the question. You can't expect people to just magically understand something if no one is willing to break it down for them. And more importantly, you can't teach others if you haven't learned yourself. I need you to ask yourself, have you truly sat down and reflected on who you are? Do you understand how you got here? Can you explain in depth what being a trans woman really means to you? Because if you can't explain it to yourself, how do you expect to explain it to anyone else? Some of y'all act like this conversation hasn't been had a million times. And yes, it has. But that's no different than racism. Think about it. How many times have black people had to say, I should not be judged by the color of my skin? Yet, here it is, 2025, and we're still fighting against racism. We're still fighting against misogyny. We're still fighting against homophobia, and etc. So what make you think the fight for trans understanding is any different? Here's another hard truth. Not everyone you educate will pass that knowledge along. And it's not always out of spite. Some people will listen, learn, and adjust their behavior. But they won't go out and become an advocate like you. They won't fight for you. They'll just take what they learn from you, apply it to how they treat you, and keep it moving. That's why the only people who would keep this conversation going is us. But guess what? The fight never stops. Don't you think Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King got tired of fighting? Don't you think Hope Giselle is tired of saying the same shit? Don't you think Laverne Cox is exhausted from repeating herself? Don't you think Bernice King, Al Sharpton, and other activists get tired? But they keep going because that's the only way change happens. If you want to be accepted, if you want to be understood, you have to be willing to keep fighting, keep moving, and keep teaching. Because education isn't a one-time thing. It's a lifelong message.